welcome to my channel, Chronically Me. I just wanted to actually get on and describe how this video is going to go. I am here in Florida visiting my family for the week, and I decided that with as many chronic illnesses as there are out there, invisible illnesses, I think a lot of people forget about the mental aspect of it. I think a lot of people forget about the addiction side of it. I grew up in a family that struggled with addiction for at least 20 years. And contrary to what other people believe, I strongly believe that addiction is a disease. It's an invisible illness, much like diabetes or anything like that. So I wanted to kind of touch upon the addiction aspect of it, since so many of us chronic pain patients are labeled drug addicts or seekers or whatever it may be. But I also am very fortunate that I could see both sides of the story. My side is a chronic pain patient needing pain medication, and then my brother's side of the addiction and the disease that has taken over his life. So I just kind of wanted to give an introduction into that before I bring my mom and niece on as well. So please, please, please subscribe and ask me any questions, email me anytime. I would love to do a Q&A with no matter what questions you have. There's no question too small, no question too big. So for that, let's get it started. Alright, hi guys, it's Nicole with Chronically Me. Before we go any further, click down below on the subscribe button, share as many times as you can, and get everybody else to subscribe as well. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I am here with my wonderful family. I came down to Florida for a week. This is my mom, Debbie, and this is the best niece in the world, Phoenix. And I'm gonna be asking them a couple of questions. Some may not seem like they relate, but they will, and I'll explain why as we go into it. So the first questions are from my niece. Backstory: my eldest brother is an addict, and Phoenix is his daughter. So, Phoenix, how does it affect you with your dad being an addict?
Mostly that I can't relate to other people. Like, at school, when people are talking about, like what their dad does and if their dad's okay with it, sometimes it bums me out because I can't relate to having a father in my life all the time, because most of the time he's in jail or prison or rehab or something.
Alright, and do you have any plans for when he gets out?
Well, we both like Harry Potter, so maybe when he gets out, we can go to Harry Potter World, because that's what we were planning on doing before he left, but then he went into prison 2 years ago.
Okay. What are some tips that you could give to other kids your age that are in the same situation?
Just find what helps you cope with things. Like, I like listening to music. It helps me with almost everything that I do that I am upset about. But find something you really like and then try focusing on that instead of being sad about it, and think that, well, eventually he'll get out of jail and eventually you'll be able to share what you like with him or her. And that's what I think about. Whenever he gets out, I'll be able to tell him about all my favorite songs and what I want to do in high school and stuff.
Yeah. And I know you know this, but your dad is the exact same way when it comes to music.
And art, but I'm not good at art.
He lives by it.
Yeah.
So the reason why I wanted to talk about Phoenix and my brother is a lot of times people tend to overlook drug addiction as an illness, but it is one of the deadliest invisible chronic illnesses that there are out there. Fortunately, there is a cure, but in their mind, they're always going to be battling the same temptations, the same friends, just the same situations that they were in before. So once they get out of rehab or prison or jail, that's when their life truly gets the absolute hardest. But on to my second beautiful guest is my wonderful mother who gave me all of this. She can laugh all she wants. She knows I'm right. But my mom has been my ultimate caregiver from the date of my accident in 2007 till the day I was diagnosed with RSD. After all the surgeries, this woman saw me naked more than I shared a care. She bathed me. She rolled me around in my wheelchair. She re-taught me how to drive, essentially. I was terrified.
Made fun of you.
Made fun of me. But she was always my rock. She always is my rock. We talk at least 3 times a day on the phone. So I kind of wanted to get her perspective on being a caregiver for somebody with a chronic illness. So, Mom, as a mom, what is the hardest part of being a caregiver to someone who has RSD?
I think the hardest part is realizing that there isn't a cure for this particular disease at this time. Hoping every day that they come up with a cure for this disease, and keeping the person in your life, in this case, Nicole, with a positive outlook, because when they become so sick and they want to give up, that's the hardest part. Not judging them just because you're a family member or a friend, but especially these people's families. Just because they look okay one day doesn't mean they're okay, ever, really. Because they fight their own fight every day. I'd just like to say to the families out there, the mothers, the husbands, the brothers, the sisters, any family member, you got to be in their corner. And with Nicole's situation, her chronic illness was not something when she was first diagnosed that there was very much information about. So it took a lot of researching, and you just have to have the fight. There are lots of days that Nikki gets depressed or she gets upset about something, and you just got to be in their corner and tell them to put their big girl or their big boy panties on. It's been a very big expression for Nicole.
Yeah.
And keep fighting. Keep fighting. I think that's the saddest part, whether it's drug addiction, as a chronic pain, or RSD, or lupus, or whatever it is. Just, you can't give up. You just keep looking until you find somebody that's willing to help you.
That's amazing. That's why I love you. Okay, little heavier. What is your biggest fear with my illness going ahead?
Well, there's 2, actually. One is that there won't ever be a cure found before, my daughter or I pass away, and she has to live with this forever. And the second thing is that she'll get tired of fighting. I mean, I think that's the biggest fear for everyone in this situation, because hard as you fight, you're still not getting better. You're just learning how to live with it.
Yeah.
And a big thing in this case has been the doctors. The fear is too that doctors won't get educated like they need to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
We have been to so many emergency rooms. Nikki has had to move to lots of different places. And every time it's a new emergency room and it's a new general practitioner. And it's hard to get help when people don't know about whatever chronic disease you have or how to treat it properly.
Okay, and what is your hope for me or for others with the same disease in the future?
Well, my hope for Nicole is that she can now spread the message and that she can help other people, help them find good doctors, help them find resources, or just help them when they're having a bad day. My hope for others is that their families, and that's why I will ask you not just to share this with someone that has a chronic illness, but anybody, because a lot of people have family members that have chronic illness that you may not even know about, and they need a family in their corner.
Okay, and this is probably the hardest one. What are your thoughts on the opioid epidemic and its effects it has on pain patients?
This is the hardest question for me because I have a child on both sides of the spectrum. I have a child that can't get her pain medication when she needs it sometimes because everybody wants to look at her like an addict. And I see that side of it. I have a child that has a drug addiction problem that stemmed from an injury and them stopping the opioid medications. Therefore, he felt the need to go to the street. And one thing led to another thing, led to another thing. So I think this country has to come up with a middle ground.
Very true. I think my biggest fear is, like my mom said, getting up. There's been a handful of times where that has almost happened. I was at the brink of it. And, I had my best friend in my corner. I've always got my mom in my corner. Justin has always been in my corner. But sometimes when you're that low, it still doesn't feel like that's enough. RSD is called the suicide disease for a reason. And I think a lot of it is people are just afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about wanting to kill themselves. They're afraid to talk about why. They're afraid to ask their doctors for medications because they're going to be known as a drug seeker. We're supposed to have all these patient rights, but as I recently had a doctor tell me, treatment is a privilege, which I didn't even know how to react when I heard that. But I just wanted you guys to meet. I wanted to introduce, and I wanted you guys to meet two of the most important people in my life. This one, she's my little mini me, and she's amazing, and she's brilliant. And then I got this one who would do absolutely anything for me.
Who keeps you in line and keeps you in check.
Yep, and she kicks my ass when it comes to fighting for myself and advocating for myself. And as much as it kills me to say it, she's right almost 99.9% of the time. So, if there's anything else that you guys want to know, any questions that you have, anything you're concerned about, feel free to message me. chronicallyme85@gmail.com is my email address. My Facebook page is chronicallyme. My Twitter handle is chronicallyme85. So there are tons of ways to reach out, and I will reach out as fast as I can. And we all appreciate